Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored Never Boring. If you follow the channel, you are probably aware of how much I like Advanced Heroquest. You will also be aware that when playing vintage games, as much as possible I like to restore if necessary and then use original components. So probably no surprises to know that the only boxed Advanced Heroquest expansion ever released, unless you count the paint set, Terror in the Dark, is on my list of grails that I would one day very much like to own. However, I am reluctant to put down the money on an original copy for several reasons, the most obvious being the price. Look at the state of this. Now I can understand a very rare old expansion having a high value. I barely flinched dropping £180 on a copy of Space Crusade Elder Attack, but for Terror in the Dark, these prices seem particularly egregious. First of all, Terror in the Dark is a card-only expansion. You don't get any new miniatures with it at all. You get new floor plans, new tokens, new player handouts, and a rules book. That's it. There is nothing in the box that you cannot find on the internet for free. The only thing you would struggle with is the box itself. Second, Terror in the Dark recycles a lot of content. Some sections of the rules are drawn from White Dwarf articles, and many of the tokens and floor plans are exactly the same as the ones that came in the core set. Well, not quite exactly the same, which brings me to my third point. The production quality for Terror in the Dark is not great. The included tiles do not match up consistently with those that came in the core set. I have even seen people online worrying that a copy they purchased was a bootleg because the quality was not what they expected. Taking all that into account, despite one day hoping to own an original, I decided the most sensible thing to do was print out everything and make my own. You may have seen my previous arts and crafts video where I was making up floor plans using some matching floor plans from the Mighty Warriors board game. So anyway, I'm all done now, and I basically have a complete functional copy of Terror in the Dark. I thought I would run through it all, so this video will serve as a complete contents list, but will also include some information on what I've done to get to this point. First up, you have 6 large floor plans. These are the special rooms for the quest from the Lich Master, the campaign included in the expansion. You get 1 tomb. Mine here is a printout of the original art from the expansion, mounted on 1.5mm greyboard, which was mounted on white card and then sealed with a satin finish Mod Podge. I used satin finish because a matte finish wouldn't match the tiles from the core game, but a gloss finish would be too shiny and reflective. I've applied this Mod Podge with a brush, and I've done 2 coats, one going left to right, one going up to down. The result is a sort of linen finish like you might see on a pack of cards, and the surface itself is incredibly durable. The second tile is the Wizard's Study. This art was recycled for a floor plan from the Mighty Warriors board game, but there it was printed on thinner card. So I have taken that floor plan from Mighty Warriors and I have mounted it on 1mm greyboard with a backing of white card. It doesn't need sealing except on the edges of the greyboard because the Mighty Warriors boards already have a decent factory finish on them. The third tile is the resting place of the Power Bow, a cavernous chamber with pillars. Again, I used a board from Mighty Warriors. And then there is the Cave of the Skeletons. Once again I used the board from Mighty Warriors, but it is worth noting there are some differences that I have just chosen to live with. The Terror in the Dark version of this floor plan is angled. There is a corner missing, then there is a tunnel leading down into the cave, and then the square grid is printed on a slant. Furthermore, the grid is printed with only the corners of each space delineated by crosshairs, rather than the bold black lines seen on the Mighty Warriors board. The more subtle delineation is less intrusive on the artwork, but other than that, this is a fine substitute. Finally, there is the Lich Master's chamber, which is in 2 pieces. As with the first tile I showed you, this is a printout of the original artwork from Terror in the Dark, mounted on 1.5mm greyboard with a Mod Podge finish. Unfortunately, before I could get the Mod Podge on, I accidentally scuffed one of the tiles, and you can see some of the art rubbed off. I was going to print it off again and remake it, but I decided I would just leave it like this for now. It's perfectly serviceable. That's it for the actual rooms, but Terror in the Dark also comes with other floor tiles. Fortunately, these are all duplicates of tiles from the core game, and as I have the contents of 2.5 core games, I had more than enough of these parts to make up a complete set of everything. And as an added bonus, these match perfectly with the tiles from my core set, obviously because they are from the core set, while the tiles from Terror in the Dark have a slightly different finish. Anyway, there are 10 corridors, 3 dead ends, 13 corner pieces and 3 T-junctions. You then get some bits and bobs, again mainly stuff recycled from the core box, so I didn't need to make replacements. You get 1 chasm along with a bridge token to span it. You get 8 portcullises, 1 grate, 1 trapdoor and 2 treasure chests. Then there are 12 pit traps. I didn't quite have enough of these, so I did have to make a couple more. In this image, the original tokens are on the left and the tokens I made are on the right. I made the tokens the same way as everything else. They are printed out on a cheap inkjet printer, mounted on 1.5mm greyboard with a white card backing, and then coated with Mod Podge. Using that same process, I also had to make the tokens that are brand new to the Terror in the Dark expansion. There is 1 coffin, but I made a spare as well. You never know when you're going to need a coffin. As true in Advanced Heroquest as it is in real life. Then there is a 2x2 statue. This actually feels like something that should have been in the core set, as it is possible to meet and interact with a statue in the core rules. And then there are 4 different types of hazard token, 4 mushrooms, 4 molds, 4 bats, and 4 rats. The final thing in the expansion is a set of player handouts detailing rules and background for 4 special quest items. Sadly, I couldn't find a decent scan of these, so I had to do the best with what I had. As a result, these cards are readable, but they are a little fuzzy and don't look up to the same standard as everything else. They were made with printouts mounted on 1mm greyboard, with white card backing, and again I used satin Mod Podge. And that's it. The only other thing is the rules book itself. I don't really have the facilities to do a good job of that at home, so I will be sending the PDF off to an online printer who will run off a copy and bind it for me. And that will complete my copy of Terror in the Dark, except for a box of course. But that's okay. All told, if we factor in the cost of printing the rules, buying the greyboard, cardboard and Mod Podge, and the cost of a little colour ink, we are looking at a total of around £20 to get this all done. That can't be bad. I can spin that in my head. Technically, I've saved around £320 to spend on miniatures. But that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.